You enjoyed our student showcase tonight by the Lake Belton High School cheerleaders. The time is now 6:15, and the Belton Independent School Board of Trustees are now convening a regular board meeting on Monday, August 21, 2023, in the Pittenger Fine Arts Center located at 400 North Wall Street, Belton, Texas. A quorum of board members is present. This meeting has been duly called, and notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our live stream viewers to this meeting. As the Belton ISD Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees held in public, not a public meeting. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items may not necessarily be handled in this order listed on the notice. This meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. These proceedings are being live streamed on BISD's YouTube channel, and a recording of the meeting will be available on the district's website in the days following tonight's meeting. For the video to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in the silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in Belton ISD. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer or meditation. Please remain standing as our Communications Department introduces students from Pirtle Elementary School here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and honors to the Texas flag.
Thank you, Board. With us tonight, we have siblings, Ella, Evie, and Elise. If you would come up here, ladies. They're going to be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. I want to tell you just a little bit about these ladies. They are obviously sisters, and this is the one and only year that they will all be at school together. Ella is in 5th grade, and she says her favorite subject is math, and she loves to solve problems. She enjoys being on the dance team and playing with friends, and her friends would say that she has a sense of style and that she's smart. Evie's in 3rd grade, and her favorite subject in school is math. She likes to do things outside of school, like being on the cheer team and shopping. Her friends would say that she's outgoing and intelligent. And Elise is in kindergarten, and she says her favorite thing about school is reading, and she likes to play with her sisters and swim, and her friends would say that she is kind and nice. Thank you, girls. You did awesome.
The first item on the agenda is recognitions. Jennifer?
That's right, Board. If I could go ahead and invite y'all to come down here in front of the stage. Our first picture, we're going to take a picture with our showcase tonight, our cheerleaders. The cheerleaders returned from camp here very recently, and they came home with a lot of awards. They won 3 Spirit Sticks, 2 Herky Team certificates, 2 Superior Ribbons, an Excellence Ribbon, a Stunt Safe Award, a Leadership Award, and an overall Herky Team Award. And each of the athletes on this cheer team were named All-American. We're really proud of them, and we really appreciate them kicking off our meeting this evening. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you once again for being here. And pledgers, if I could have y'all come up, y'all are also going to take a picture with the board right here in center in front of these plants. Y'all did awesome. Awesome, wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, board, stay there. We're going to move along with the rest of our recognitions. Our first recognition, unfortunately, could not be here this evening, but I wanted you to know that we had a national qualifier for the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. A student from Lake Belton High School. She placed in the top 10 in the culinary arts competition. Her name is Stephanie Martinez. We wish she could be with us, but she cannot. So moving right along, we have a international competition qualifier with the HOSA, Future Health Professionals, also from Lake Belton High School, Miss Olivia Grant. She placed 4th in the personal care division. This is huge. Congratulations, Olivia. Congratulations. 2 years in a row. That's awesome. Moving right along, next we have our department showcase, and as y'all all heard or have known that we had a fantastic start to our school year this year, and that's in large part to our incredible transportation staff. They are led by Miss Vicki Tubbs. They operate 134 school buses and 22 SUVs, and they travel over 1 million miles every year to serve our students and staff. And we are incredibly proud of them and thank them for all of their hard work these first few days of school, getting everybody to and from school safely. Congratulations. And very fittingly, our new administrator introduction this evening is Miss Vicki Tubbs. She has been with Belton ISD for 30 years, and she was recently serving as our assistant director, and she has moved into the director position, and we are so glad. She's done a fantastic job. Congratulations, Vicki. And lastly, this evening for our community partner recognition, we are humbled and thankful to have our school resource officers from Belton Police Department and Temple Police Department with us this evening. I'm sure you know, but they play an incredible role in the safety and security of our campuses. They build relationships with teachers, administrators, and students. They keep those lines of communication open, and they are integral to keeping our school cultures safe and inviting for everybody. Belton PD is led by Chief Gene Ellis, and Temple PD is led by Chief Sean Reynolds, and we are so thankful that they're with us, that they're our partners, and thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you. Yes, you may. Thank you so much.
At this time, we're going to take a short break to let folks exit, unless you want to stay for the meeting. You're welcome to do that, too.
They're all like, go away. we're on goal.
All right, let's get moving here. In accordance with the revisions of policy BED local adopted by the board at its meeting on December 13, 2021, we will take public comments regarding items on the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, and comments regarding non-agenda items will be heard at the end of the meeting to allow the board to conduct the business of the district. No? Okay. Moving on to item 4, go to ensure exceptional learning experiences for each and every student. Dr. Smith?
Mr. Floor.
All right, you get me today.
Yes.
All right, I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse that I'm having to do this after we did a workshop on the goals. For me, I'm having to revamp everything I was going to tell you so that I don't say exactly everything that you just heard a little bit a while ago. So I'm going to focus on goal 2, right, and what does that mean through my eyes, right? So goal 2 is ensure exceptional learning experiences for each and every student. All right, so I'm actually going to break that down into three pieces, right? We'll chunk it out here. So the first chunk is ensure. The second chunk is exceptional learning experiences. And the last chunk is for each and every student. I'm going to look at it in 3 separate pieces, and I'm going to start at the end, right? No better place to start than the end. And in our workshop, I'm going to paraphrase something that Aaron said, right? Essentially, every opportunity doesn't have to fit every student, but every student needs an opportunity, right? And I know you said it way more eloquently than I just did, but that for each and every student, really for this goal is about meeting each student, every single student, almost 14,000 students, meeting them where they are in their need and trying to find that opportunity where the light bulb's going to go off, right? Whether that's an academic area, whether that's an extracurricular area, but for that student, 14,000 students, try to figure out what is going to be that thing for that student to get the light bulb to go off, right? And we talk about each and every a lot, so I'm going to move further back, right? So exceptional learning experiences. Exceptional learning experiences are not teaching the TEKS. Those are expected learning experiences, right? So exceptional learning experiences are how do we take that to the next level? Again, how do we engage that each and every that we just talked about to bring the magic around those TEKS, but not just the TEKS. It's all those other things that we as a community said we want from our students, right? So we'll bring it back to the journey, right? The journey of a graduate. How do we incorporate those competencies into what we're doing to take those TEKS to the next level, right? The exceptional learning experience, right? It might be hands-on. Might be, I don't know, there's one of my kids had a teacher at North Belton who was famous for dressing in costume and doing history through costume. What are those things that are going to help those students take those TEKS and get them into the next level? And then the first part of it is ensure. Ensure. There's a lot of power in that one word here. And it really, our responsibility, right, is how do we ensure that everything that I just talked about actually comes to life? It's about having the frameworks and tools in place that lay out what do we want, right? We've got the journey. We've got, curriculum and development materials and things like that, right? We've got to have those frameworks and tools in place. We've got to be able to communicate the expectations. We've got to be able to provide feedback on how we're doing against those expectations. Constructive feedback, right? Feedback is not bad, right? But on our job as a board is to ensure that these things are happening. We have to know that those frameworks exist. We have to make sure that it's communicated that we expect exceptional learning experiences. and we have to be able to measure that those things are happening. So again, goal 2 is to ensure exceptional learning experiences for each and every student. And I think I can think of many examples throughout the district where this happens, but I'll leave it there and see if anybody's got additional comments.
Something you said sparked something in my thinking. When you were talking about how teachers have to teach in different ways, I think it's no exception that teachers they play many different roles, and being creative is one of those, because not every student learns the same way. So they have to think outside the box of how can they reach each and every student in their class. And so I know that we're not in the weeds and in the day-to-day operations, so we don't always get to see the exceptional learning. We know what's going on, and so sometimes I get excited about getting on, forgive me when I say Twitter, but I try to follow all things Belton or X, and some things that I've seen come up just recently that has really kind of sparked my thinking about what we're talking about today is the learning experiences that are already happening just in these first few days. I've seen, and these were at a couple of different campuses that, obviously different campuses, they didn't know what they were doing at the same campus, but I've seen the learning around thinking tasks, and so the pictures that I saw were described as kids getting together and they're talking about their thinking, right? Because that's what we want them to do. Every student is to think about what they're learning. And so it was neat to see already some of those experiences happening just in the first few days. Another one I saw just today about bringing our community into the learning experience. And so I think it was at New Tech, I saw that they brought in the coordinator from Bell County Museum. And so it's just, teachers they have to be so creative to think of ways that they can ensure that those exceptional learning experiences are happening for each and every kid. And it doesn't always look the same. And so those are just some things that I've just seen recently. And those are just been in the first few days. So I'm excited about what they're doing already.
So Convocation every year is one of my favorite events, and one of the reasons is because you see this, the way we've been doing it over the last few years really shows this whole showcase of exceptional learning experiences that kids of all ages, all ability levels, all backgrounds and everything get to put on display for us to show how their learning experiences are exceptional. And every single time I see it, I am so inspired. It brings me to tears, and it always makes me think, this is why I love public school, and specifically why I love Belton ISD, because we are giving kids so many things to increase their learning experiences so that they come to school excited about what they get to do. And I could not say enough good things about what I get to see at Convocation every year because of that whole cross-section of kids doing so many fun things on display.
Anyone else? No? Chris, anything else?
I'm good.
Yeah, good job. All right. Great comments. All right, let's move on to action items. 5A, public hearing regarding 2023-2024 budget and proposed tax rate. Dr. Smith?
Yes, I'd like to welcome Ms. Melissa Lafferty, our Chief Financial Officer, to the podium tonight. It's important that whenever we have a public hearing to note that we go through a presentation. There will be time for a pause at the end to take any public comments that have signed up when they arrive for the public hearing and allow them to speak at that time. So Melissa will walk you through a presentation, discuss some things with you, and then we'll pause for a public hearing at that time.
All right, good evening. Tonight we are here to basically discuss the 2023-24 budget and tax rate, and then we will hold a public hearing that will give the community members a chance to provide input into the budget and tax rate adoption. So one of the big factors to our funding is, of course, enrollment in regards to average daily attendance. And this graph right here shows you that enrollment is increasing by about 350 students over the last year. And if we were to take a percentage of the projected average daily attendance of $12,874, this equates to about 92% of enrollment. Now, that is not our attendance rate that we'll see in PEEMS, but generally when we're budgeting, we just take the fraction of our ADA, which is refined ADA, as a percentage of enrollment when we're budgeting, just for simplicity. The next factor that affects funding as to who pays most of our funding, whether it's us or the state, is going to be the change in property values from year to year. And so this graph right here is basically showing you this is not what the property values are doing. This is a change each year, a percentage change and increase from year to year in what the values are doing. So if you were to look at a graph, they would be exponentially increasing as far as values in total. But this is a year to year. For instance, for 2023, it increased 20.7% from the 2022 year. So that's how you would read this graph. Values continue to significantly increase, and with a $40,000 homestead exemption, as you can see, that dotted line with the arrow, the values would have continued to increase another 22.1% over the previous year. But however, due to legislative action, they will take a proposition to the voters in November for an increase in the homestead exemption of $100,000, and that is having a significant impact on our tax collections. So you can see there at $100,000 homestead exemption, the property values are only increasing 8.6% rather than the 22.1% from the previous year. And since House Bill 3, tax rate compression has continued to occur over the years. And so you can see here that over the past 5 years, the M&O rate, which is the only tax rate that is subject to tax compression, has decreased 41.25 cents since the 2018-19 budget. So that's about the time of House Bill 3. And of course, the INS debt service rate has decreased 3.88 pennies, and that's due to board action and decrease in that debt rate for taxpayers. So overall, it's a decrease of 45.13 cents. That graph isn't looking like it should. But basically, that is our M&O and our debt service tax rate over the past 7 years, and then you can see there that those rates are continually decreasing over time. All right, so with the combination of a $100,000 homestead exemption and that further increase in tax compression, taxpayers will enjoy some relief in their tax bills this next fall. So you can see for our taxing jurisdiction, the average taxable value here for Belton ISD last year was $218,919. And then for this current tax year, for the next school year, the average value, taxable value is $198,510. So to get to average taxable value, you just take assessed value minus that homestead exemption of $100,000, and that's what's getting us to that lower average taxable value. If you take that and multiply it by that compressed rate, you can see that the average taxpayer will see approximately a $641 decrease in their tax bill from the previous year.
Melissa, can I clarify real quickly?
Yes,
that
sir.
example that you're showing there is just an example, correct?
Yes.
So it's not that every taxpayer in Belton ISD is going to receive $641 tax break.
That's true.
Based on this. This is an example that you use for illustration purposes.
Yes, sir. The appraisal district will give us the average taxable value when they give us values, and that is both years' average taxable value. So yes, some will see bigger, some will see less, but that's just on average. Okay, so that increased homestead exemption and continued tax compression, our tax collections will decrease in comparison to last year, as far as our portion and what we pay towards the funding. Okay, so when we talk about our state funding, it is our local tax collections and whatever the state gives us, that is basically, by definition, our state funding. So in the 2023 year, this current year that we're in right now, we would have collected about 41% in tax collections in comparison to our funding, and the state would have paid 59%. Next year, you can see that we will be contributing less to the state funding due to that compression and increased homestead exemption. And so our local collections will only make up about 35% of our state funding, and then the state will have to give us the rest to make up that difference to get us there to what our entitlement is. All right, and you can see here that the state pays probably the biggest portion of our general fund revenues at 65%, and then our local collections and the tuition fees and all the other local revenues that we collect is about 33%. And then there's about 2% just in federal revenue. So our total revenues in this budget that we are proposing is $144.3 million. And then there's the general fund expenditures. Salaries and benefits make up about 85% of our salaries and benefits. However, in this pie chart, you're seeing 84%. So we have built in this year for the first time a vacancy factor in our budget for those salaries and benefits, because that's over the past 3 or 4 years, we've kind of averaged that in payroll that just doesn't get paid out as people come and go, and in vacancies. So that 84% is reflecting that $4 million vacancy factor that's in our budget. And of course, there's the departmental and campus budgets at 23.9, and then our school improvement funds and new programs. And that would put our total expenditures that we're proposing tonight at $149.3 million. And then our M&O tax rate is decreasing 18.54 cents from the previous year. And the INS tax rate is remaining the same for a total proposed tax rate of $1.15.17 cents. There's a slide that's not in here. So we are also budgeting $390,948 in our compensatory education funds. That is budgeted for accelerated instruction, and those funds are allocated across different services and personnel, instructional materials, technology subscriptions, and those types of areas to accelerate that instruction. If you have any further questions on that, I'm sure Gabby will be glad to share that with you. So our proposed general fund budget has total revenues of $144.3 million, total expenditures of $149.3 for a deficit budget of just about a little over $5 million. So if we were to realize that $5 million deficit next year and netted that into our fund balance, we would still be sitting at about 22.8%. Our fund balance would be 22.8% of our expenditures, which is well within our policy, our fund balance policy. The second budget that we're required to adopt is the school nutrition budget. And we're proposing an $8.1 million revenues and total expenditures of $9.1 for a $996,000 deficit budget. And then that would give them an ending fund balance of $2.8 million. But we're not too concerned about this deficit budget. They experienced significant hits to the fund balance last year, and so his fund balance is too high. And so we're a little bit out of compliance on school nutrition. So as we continue to go into the future, we will continue to monitor that going forward. But he also has vacancy factors, and so that deficit, he will not realize that $996,000 deficit completely. And finally, the debt service budget, where we pay our debt, is total revenues of $25.1 million, total expenditures of $24.75, for a surplus of $385,000 in the debt service. Are there any questions up to this point?
Questions? Comments? Chris, you have a question? Okay.
All right, Mr. President, we're ready for a public hearing.
Melissa, let me ask you a question. You know, we've had unprecedented increases in the appraised values of properties here in Bell County, Belton, what have you. And I want to clarify something. Just because the property values are going, notwithstanding the changes in the homestead exemption, with property values going up, it seems like we're collecting more money, right? But the school district is not receiving more money. It's
Yes,
not-
sir. So
it-
effectively, we are collecting more collections.
Right.
But our portion of our funding that our collections goes towards is decreasing. The state now, with that tax compression and increased homestead exemption, the state is now having to level that off for us.
So just because we collect more doesn't mean we receive more, right?
That's true.
Okay.
Melissa, are you ready for the public hearing portion?
Yes, sir.
Please click to the next slide so we have that manual.
We will now hold a public hearing regarding the 2023-2024 budget and proposed tax rate. As far as public, I think we have one person signed up. Ms. Hicklin? Please come to the podium and state your name and city of residence for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Hillary Hickland, Belton, Texas. Taxes, they boggle the minds of most people. Who can fully understand the intricacies of various tax codes? And I've been told that school tax codes are the most complex. We have to trust the experts. We have to trust those we put in place to steward our funds in ways that best serve our community. It makes sense to me why your position title is trustees. Thank you for serving in this capacity. I love the thought of building something together. Everyone's aware of rising prices. Some of us are painfully aware, making cuts and sacrifices where we can, individuals, businesses, corporations. As we come together to build things, let's also come together in shouldering this burden. Tonight, we heard the proposed budget and tax rate. Our state legislators worked very hard over the regular session and 2 special sessions to deliver property tax relief to homeowners. Several of these lawmakers warned of local governing bodies setting the tax rate above the no new revenue rate, cutting into the amount of relief. Some may not know what the no new revenue rate is. It's a tax rate that generates the same amount of revenue as the previous tax rate, and the voter approval rate is the maximum that this body can require without placing it on a ballot for a vote in an election. According to the public meeting notice, the no new revenue rate for Belton ISD is 1.06, and the voter approval rate is 1.15. Belton ISD is asking for the maximum. In the slides for the presentation, I didn't see any mention of the no new revenue rate, but only the data based on the voter approval rate. Last year, Belton ISD collected $11,790 per student from local and state funds. The proposal shows the number increasing to over $12,242, and that doesn't include federal funds. Please do not boast of lowering the tax rate. When home values increase, tax code requires the rate to be lowered. So while the percentage may have gone down, the majority of homeowners in Bell County saw significant increases in the appraisal value of their homes, which translates to a higher tax bill, even at the lower rate. So the fact that taxes are going up after it was advertised that the bond was not a tax increase will confuse people. I understand these are two different things, but when you're looking at the end date, the bill, the number, I believe it will confuse people. Could you please explain in layman's terms why you are choosing the voter approval rate over the no new revenue rate? Because you can't take a tax rate to the grocery store. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Beck, no one else? Okay. At this time, we will close the public hearing and move on to action items. 5A1, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding adoption of the budget for accelerated instruction for the 2023 and 2024 school year. Do we have a motion to approve adoption of state compensatory education funds budgeted for accelerated instruction for the 2023-2024 school year as presented? Mr. Norwood, do we have a second? Ms. Bass? All those in favor? That passes unanimously, 6-0. Item number 2, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding adoption of the budget for the 2023-2024 school year. Do I have a motion to approve adoption for the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget as presented? Ms. Lee, second. Mr. Preston? Any additional discussion before we vote? Comments? All right, all those in favor? That passes unanimously, 6-0. Item 3, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding an ordinance adopting the tax rate for the 2023-2024 school year. Do we have a motion to adopt a maintenance and operation tax rate of .7575 and a debt service tax rate of .3942 for the total tax rate of 1.1517? Any additional discussion on that item? No additional discussion. Do I have a motion? Mr. Norwood? Do I have a second? Second? All right. Mr. Floor? All those in favor? That passes 6-0. Moving on to item B, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding 2011 stadium revenue bond redemption. Dr. Smith?
Ms. Lafferty is going to stay right up there at the podium for y'all to answer any questions on this item. She'll walk you through positive impact for Belton ISD.
I'm not sure if I have a... Okay, so tonight we want to bring a resolution to you to do an early redemption of the 2011 stadium revenue bonds. I believe the school district took these out back in 2011 to help with the upgrades to the football field and stadium. And so to secure those bonds, the gate receipts and stadium revenues have been secured and go into a separate fund outside of the general fund to help pay for that debt. These bonds became callable last year just as I was coming on board, and so it's been my intent to try to redeem these as soon as we can. There's about $1 million that's in that fund right now, a little over that, and we have plenty of money to redeem those bonds. And the total redemption, and I have the bank sent the payoff, so the total payoff would be $366,177, and that would leave about $600,000 in that fund. And then once we have redeemed those bonds, we can transfer that money back into the general fund and then begin getting a revenue source for those stadium revenues back into the general fund.
Any questions?
And
Ms.
these bonds will be redeemed on September 15th.
Okay.
So we'll wire the money to PNC to pay them off.
Ms. Lafferty, just to be clear, so we're paying off debt early, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the redemption of the Stadium and Recreational System Revenue Bonds, Series 2011, as presented? Any additional discussion on that item? No additional discussion. Do I have a motion? Ms. Lee? Mr. Preston? All those in favor? That passes 6-0. Going on to item C, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding adoption of district key progress measures. Dr. Smith?
Trustees, thanks for engaging in a wonderful workshop earlier this evening where our cabinet members led you through some discussion about these key progress measures. Dr. Golden is here tonight to walk us through this presentation.
Good evening. We anchor our work in one of the values and beliefs that you adopted as a Board of Trustees, and that is around the value of continuous improvement. We deeply believe in that, believe that mindset of continuous improvement should be modeled at all levels of the organization and cultivated in our classrooms. And so it's with those values and beliefs in mind that we go into the work of developing a district improvement plan, and particularly our key progress measures aligned to our goals. You reaffirmed our goals in February, which really allowed us to launch our work, and we went into the spring and early summer in studying our data from perception data, performance data, process data. So really looking at our data from a variety of sources, and with that data in mind and looking at current reality against these goals, we are bringing forward to you this evening what we believe are high leverage key progress measures that we would come back to you throughout the year and report our progress. Next month, we'd be coming back with our campus objectives that will be aligned to the work that we've been doing in our district goals and our district KPMs. And so just real quickly going through our key progress measures. And so for goal 1, would be asking you to consider us adopting a key progress measure for establishing customer service standards and a system of measurement for those standards by December 2023, and provide aligned professional learning by May of 24. For goal 2, we talked about increase the level of critical thinking and perseverance in Belton ISD as measured by classroom observations using our Journey of a Graduate competencies. In goal 3, 100% of our campuses and departments will design and implement an onboarding plan for new staff by June of 24. Goal 4, we have 2 key progress measures we're proposing this evening. One is around increasing the percent of teachers reporting high-quality professional learning, meeting their needs in terms of their growth and development, as well as identifying barriers for our students' participation in clubs and organizations, fine arts, and athletics, so that we can develop a plan to attack those barriers.
Dr. Golden, before you move on, goal number 1, KPM dates, were not the same as we discussed. Based on the presentation that we're seeing, is not the same as what you read. And so I want to be clear about what the actual KPM is.
Okay. Jen, can you help me on the date?
Standard 5, December 2022 or 2023, and
Align professional learning by May. Okay, so that says June, so we'll get that corrected.
In the customer service standards say by October 2023 on this one. And so we just want to make sure that the board knows exactly which one they're adopting.
It's December, is that right? Okay, it's the December of 2023 in terms of the standards, and the professional learning May of 24.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then for goal 5, I skipped that one, apologize. Completed comprehensive district facilities master plan by January of 2024, and establishing a program evaluation system and tools for implementation by this May. And so with that, we'd like to open it up for any questions or discussion.
No questions? Ms. Floor?
I mean, I think we had a great discussion earlier for about an hour. So, I mean, that was great. I think what's important to remember is, these look different than the goals and key project, or same goals, right? But different key progress measures than what we had last year. But what's important to remember is those things that we were doing based on those key progress measures last year don't go away, right? And so the emphasis from last year around, involvement with the campuses and building parent partnerships, right? That's now a part of the culture, right? And that continues on, right? And so we are picking additional key progress measures to help build out what is Belton ISD, right? And so I want to make sure that we don't lose that anywhere, right?
Good point.
One little thing. I continue to be really proud of our administrative team and the deep work that you guys do. Thank you for your thoughtful work and planning on this and for just doing a great job. Appreciate you.
You did a lot of work this summer.
Yes, they did.
Any further discussion, comments? All right, do we have a motion to approve the district key progress measures as presented? Ms. Norwood, second. Ms. Bass, all those in favor? Passes 6-0. Let's go to item D,
Thank you.
consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding appointment of board committees. Dr. Smith?
Board, annually, we usually discuss board appointments on committees that you are asked to be involved in or we're required to have people involved in. And we'll use these two topics tonight as an example. One is the DSSC, or the District Safety and Security Committee. We have a legislative requirement that the board president serves on that committee and another board member. But we want to formally make sure we go through a process every year to make sure that we have the will of the board and the people who want to serve on those committees. And the other one that we're bringing forward to you tonight is the representation on the Belton Educational Foundation, formerly called BEEF, B-E-E-F, and now called BEF. We have one representative, according to our MOU, that is required for a board member to serve in a non-voting capacity and attend the BEEF meetings. And so that is brought to you tonight for consideration as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So can I speak to both of them at the same time? Okay, so I've been the representative on BEEF as a board member. Several of us have actually served on BEEF. Manuel has been on BEEF, and Rucker has been on BEEF for a long time. Before, Rosie Perez was also on BEEF. So as just members of the BEEF board, and super enjoyed all of those experiences and all the years that I've served. But since Rucker is new and he's just getting into this and he's also familiar with BEEF, I would be willing to abdicate my role in that if Rucker wants to step up into that place and be our board representative on the.
That was a quick handoff.
Yeah, there you go. But the other thing is, if somebody wants to trade out with me and let me serve on safety and security, I would be honored and willing to do that, but I don't need to bump anybody from that either. So just let you know I'm willing if anybody wants that.
Well, I'll just say I have served with BEEF, Belton Education Foundation, for the past couple years and really enjoyed it as a voting member, so I would certainly welcome any opportunity to serve as a non-voting member going forward representing the Board of Trustees.
I do want to point out real quickly, to be clear about the legislative requirement for the DSSC. It is 2 members, but we could have a third member if you so choose as a board to have a third member attend as well. That is totally up to you all in that determination. We cannot have a quorum at those meetings, but we can have a third member if wanted.
Who is that currently?
Currently, last year, Jeff Norwood served as the board president, and Aaron Bass served as our other trustee. And Manuel will be stepping in as the board president now, and so it's up to us to determine the 1 or 2 remaining people that attend.
You gonna go? I'll go. Are you waiting for me to go? I'm open. I'm open and flexible. If one of you can't, and I can. I enjoyed the District Safety and Security Committee a whole lot. I mean, there was always something new to learn and obtain from that group of community members and our staff. And so I would be willing to step off or step back on if one couldn't make it, so that we do maintain at least 2. Or if I can be the third wheel, I'd love to be the third wheel. So I'm open, but I really enjoyed that. But
So do we want to do 2 or do we want to do 3?
yeah.
It does make it, I guess, a little bit easier, because there are times when you only have 2 board members there, if somebody's sick or something, and we're down to 1.
Yeah.
Sorry. There we go. It does make sense to me to have 3 for that reason, that if someone's sick or something, we're still going to have 2. You know, we went for a couple, I mean, I'm 2 years on it, but we went for a couple of years not realizing that the law said, oh, no, this is not voluntary. Y'all actually have to be there.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, so that's when Ms. Bass and I jumped on there. But I think it would be great to have all 3 of y'all. Ms. Lee sounds like she'd like to do it.
What do you think? Do you want to stay on?
Oh, no, no,
Okay.
I think
I mean-
it'd be good to get Ms.
Okay.
Lee on there.
Okay.
So I'm more than happy to step down
Okay.
from it.
So, Ms. Lee, Ms. Bass,
Yes.
right?
And if there's one that I couldn't and you wanted to step in, Jeff, I'm sure we could tell Becca. What do you think, Chris?
Chris, what are you
You're awfully
thinking?
quiet over there.
I was about to make a motion with 3 names, so
Oh, okay.
we're going to cut this off. No.
Wait, do we need to make motions on those? Because if so, don't we need to do the
Yes.
motion for Rucker?
Yeah, we do.
We do. We need
Yeah.
to make a motion for beef and a motion.
All right. So let's move forward. Do we have a motion to appoint Janet Lee and Aaron Bass to the District Safety and Security Committee and appoint Rucker Preston to the Belton Educational Richmond Foundation? Ms. Norwood?
I'll make that motion.
Number 2?
Thank you.
Mr. Floor? All right, all those in favor? That passes 6-0.
That was fun.
All right.
And just to be clear, we did not need to appoint Manuel because he's required.
Yes.
Okay.
That's statutory, right? Yeah, okay.
Just want to make sure he doesn't.
Yeah. Item E, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding naming a delegate and alternate to the 2023 TASB Delegate Assembly. So let me read this additional part here. TASB's Delegate Assembly gives school boards a direct voice in advocating for Texas public schools and in the overall direction of the association. The board may appoint 1 delegate and 1 alternate to serve as its representatives at the 2023 Delegate Assembly, which will be held September 30 during the TASA and TASB Convention in Dallas. So we'll open the floor up to discussion for nominations.
I have a nomination.
Go get
Yeah.
I'll nominate Mr. Floor to be our delegate assembly, our delegate to the assembly, and then, because I think this is just a flip of what we have right now, and she can't say no because she's not here, is to have Ms. McDonald as our alternate. I believe that's a flip of what we have right now.
Last year it was me and he was an alternate. And I'll tell you, having an alternate, having Chris there was that was a blessing to me because I didn't know what I was doing. And actually Chris got kicked off the floor because he was up there sitting with me and they have to be in the back. But just knowing he was in the room, I mean, it's nice to have a teammate there with you. So I think it's important to have 2 people there.
Well, would you like to do it again then?
I would.
Would you like to be
I
the
would.
alternate and you get kicked off the floor this time and he stays up there?
So you,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm okay with being an alternate.
Sure. I'd like to nominate Chris Floor to be our delegate assembly, what do you call it?
Delegate.
Our delegate. And Aaron Bass as our alternate.
All right.
Second.
Second, number 1, number 2, all those in favor? That passes 6-0. All right.
All right, so I just want to go on record. Nothing inappropriate happened in that meeting.
No.
Thank you, Aaron.
It was super professional.
Yeah, we were, what we didn't know is prior to the meeting starting, you're only allowed to have one representative on
Yeah.
the floor. And so I was trying, as the delegate 2 years ago, I wanted to make sure Aaron got all set up.
Yeah.
And so went in, got her all squared away. We learned that I couldn't be there, and so I went and sat in the back. Here we go. There's the story.
Yeah. And he didn't leave because
didn't leave.
many of the alternates like left, but Chris stayed there with, so.
It was a fun board meeting.
All right. Move on to reports. Dr. Smith?
It's my pleasure to have a superintendent's report tonight. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your time and your service to the Big Red community. I think, there we go, superintendent's report. As you can see, we have a nice new format thanks to our amazing staff here in Belton ISD. Becca and Erica did a lot of work on that, so thank you both for that. Our purpose every time we get together and talk about the superintendent's report is to provide you some highlights and comments from the superintendent. some administrative highlights that we went over that we experienced over the past month. That first day of school, having you all out on campuses, welcoming students back, seeing teachers, seeing students interact, seeing our parents and the pride that they have in Belton ISD, obviously a highlight for us as a school district. We're thankful for that. Convocation, thank you for your attendance to that. Our goal is to always bring people together. That's an opportunity to bring our staff together, point us in the right direction moving forward so that we're all on the same page for the upcoming school year. And so thank you for that. Jen Bailey, our communications team, our student performances, all the adults that went into making that experience special. It was a highlight definitely of our school year. Culture Day, we're extremely grateful for Todd Schiller and his team that have put Culture Day together with a committee over the past few years. Again, our Culture Day is when we welcome new staff to Belton ISD when they're first getting acclimated to the school district. We spend quite a bit of time talking about vision, values, and beliefs, all of the things that you adopt as a board of trustees, and to make sure that those things are seen, heard, and felt from the dais here at a board meeting through every position in our school district. But we do that in a way to make sure our employees feel valued, supported, and challenged to grow. And so we're thankful for the great work that has gone into is this our third Culture Day? Third Culture Day, I believe. And every year we continue to get better at it, and we're going to keep getting better at it every year, but the vibe is always wonderful. The bond project tours, thank you. We took individuals out for bond project tours so that you could see some of the construction projects that were up and running across the district. You can see there's a lot of dirt moving, a lot of things happening, and that's a direct thanks to you all as a board, but also to our taxpayers who passed our bond election in May of 2022. We know that those projects are going to be a positive impact on our students and staff and community. And then finally, we've had numerous opportunities over the past couple of months to have community connections. Our board has had opportunities to interact with PTA leaders, with coaches, with Big Red community card members, with our staff at Convocation, with Culture Day, with our first day visits. We've had those opportunities for connections. I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of time that our trustees put into these community connections. And those are just the things that I highlighted from a high level. We also know that you're showing up to your kids' events. We know that you're involved in PTAs in your own right. We know that you're involved in various student activities in your own right. And so we wanted to acknowledge the great work that you're doing as a board of trustees in creating those opportunities for community connections, not just in the events that we host here, but on your day-to-day work as a trustee. You see some highlights here in some of our pictures. You can see that Culture Day, we had a large crowd there, and we had great small group meetings throughout the day. We know that some of you were able to stop in and visit along the way. Convocation, again, was a big hit, and it is our pleasure to note that one of our teachers, Kate Kelly from Lake Belton High School, was recognized as the Region 12 Teacher of the Year. And so we're excited to recognize her work. And it's also important to note, we didn't recognize it in Convocation, but we also had the Principal of the Year for Region 12, Mr. Ben Smith, who is in an executive director position for us now. So we're thankful for the amazing work that our staff puts in. I want to highlight in Convocation, though, as Janet mentioned earlier tonight, you see some evidence of how our students are connected in creating those exceptional learning experiences. When we talk about the silver strings at Lake Belton High School and the learning that happens through the arts in our school district, or their ballet folklorico from South Belton Middle School and Southwest Elementary School, those experiences for students enhance the learning that we see in the classroom every day. We know that students have content that they need to learn, but they also have skills and competencies that they need to learn as well. Those competencies are outlined in our Journey of a Graduate. In these experiences, through ROTC, through the Silver Strings, through Ballet Folklorico, through our choirs and our madrigal performances and stuff, those are what bring those competencies to life and create those memorable moments for students for the rest of their lives. So we thank our board and our community for continuing to invest in those experiences for our kids. Finally, those smiling faces on the first day of school were outstanding. Again, we need to recognize our transportation department. Transporting thousands of students across our district on the first day of school is a challenge. transporting thousands of students and a lot of them being 4, 5, and 6-year-olds is a real challenge. And so our transportation department did an outstanding job of that this year. We're thankful, and thank you for recognizing Vicki Tubbs, our new director of transportation, and her team for allowing them to do good work in our school district, and they did that at the beginning of the year. We want to thank our community partners. You saw our SROs here tonight. They were out and visible on our campuses. Students and staff from University of Mary Hardin-Baylor were out and visible. Our partners from Fort Cavazos were visible and available for us on the first day of school. And so not only were you out and about, but many of our community partners were out and about on that first day of school. That's what makes this community exceptional. Finally, tonight, I want to make some comments just real briefly. We know you all just passed a budget, and we're thankful for that. I want to point out that that budget was passed. Your efforts tonight helped us provide pay raises for staff throughout our school district based on the budget you adopted. We know that you always want to do more. It's important to recognize the fact that our legislature actually needs to fund public schools better in order for us to do more on these things. We went through an entire legislative session and additional special sessions without our legislature taking any action to increase the basic allotment, despite the fact that every person in this room and every person in those legislative chambers felt the impact of inflation since 2019 when that basic allotment was established. And so I want to thank you for being committed to the staff and students of Belton ISD, despite the fact that we didn't get any additional funding from our legislature. We hope that to see that come to life in the upcoming supposed special session that is going to be happening. And so we hope to see some action taken because we know our students and staff in Belton ISD deserve it. I also want to point out that it's important to note that each and every time we talk about budget and tax rate, our board is heavily invested not only in the financial accountability for our school district, and we continue to make sure we bring in an outside auditor to verify that we're in fact doing great things with the finances that our public entrusts us with, but that you're also looking at how we use that money and how we invest that money in the staff in Belton ISD to create those learning experiences. So I thank you again as a board for your focus, not only on the financial accountability piece, but also on how we're investing that money. And that concludes the superintendent's report for tonight.
All right, let's move on to 6B, governance report.
Trustees, anybody have any questions on the superintendent's report? I moved on quickly on that one. Okay. On the agenda tonight, the governance report, this is a time for board members to go kind of one by one and be able to provide any highlights that you've seen. We figured we would try this out for a little bit of time to see if this is something our board would like to continue doing because we know how active you are in our community on a regular basis. So the agenda item specifically focuses on board members reporting out on your attendance at various school and community events, board member recognition of outstanding work that you've seen throughout the district or opportunities that you've experienced for continuing education as a board member and anything that you might want to highlight. So at this time, Mr. President, I'll turn it back over to you and to walk through that agenda item.
All right, anyone want to go first? Mr. Norwood?
So I'll keep it quick. It's a privilege as far as things to attend. First day is always great. Got to do that at Lakewood. I've hit most elementaries over the years. I think it was my first time at Lakewood. I did hear some mention of people that were talking about, because the little kids at elementary school, that is special. There's the crying, there's the siblings that are crying, there's the parents that are crying, there's the kids that want to be there, kids running by me yelling their ABCs because they've learned them over the summer. That's special. Now, somebody did mention going to high school, and I was like, I live with a senior. I know what they're like the first day of school, so if any of y'all went there, bless you, they're surly individuals. A couple other things got to attend. Luckily, get to attend something as a parent, as a board member, something special. The Bronco kickoff was they did a really great job over there, especially considering if you look at it, that campus isn't really that old, but they've already developed some traditions. I think something that's neat that they do at Belton High School and they do at Lake Belton High School is the decals with the parents where they put on helmets. They didn't do that when I was in school 50 years ago, but I thought that was neat. You saw a lot of families in there. It's actually a neat time because you get to meet a lot of the families that you normally wouldn't get to meet. And as far as just other community things, Janet and I were privileged. We got to attend the city council meetings for the city of Temple. Remember, we're great partners with them. And they, now I will tell you this, they they were adopting their budget. Theirs is quite a bit larger. Their big number at the bottom is much larger than ours by several $billion. But they are a great partner, and we had to realize over 30% of our kids actually live in the city limits of Temple, Texas. And so just like Belton City Council, Temple City Council, and they're great partners of ours. And Jen and I enjoyed it. It was, it's a good meeting, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that really was fun, and we enjoy all those people that work with Temple City, and I'm glad we get to be their partners, and we need to foster that relationship because that's important for us both to have that understanding that we're working together. These are all of our kids, so we've got to do that. The other thing was, let's see, the bond project tour. How enlightening was that? Like seeing all of our money at work, all the money that people have paid in for the bond and that we've invested wisely and passed budgets for and done all those things. You go and it's like there's almost nothing not under construction right now. And it was so cool just to see the scope and scale of it. I don't think I had really been able to picture that in my mind till I saw it with my own eyes. So I really enjoyed those tours. Thank you for taking us all out to look at all of that. And also just the facilities themselves, the new elementaries coming up. Burrell is getting really close, and man, you talk about each and every student. We have really thought through every single thing for every kind of learner so that there is a space for everyone to have exceptional learning opportunities, and I really, really enjoyed that. I really liked Culture Day. You know, when I became a new teacher, it was called New Teacher Orientation. It wasn't about culture. It wasn't about learning that there's a bigger vision here and a bigger team spirit. And so I just absolutely love that kind of focus on that. So those are the things I've seen in regard to things going on around our community and things going well.
Janet, you and I went to something. We went to a breakfast with there's a lot of coaches there, remember? Yeah, can you make a few comments about that?
Yeah, it was an athletics red card holder, and also coaches could come and meet with a few of us on the board. Rucker was there, and Manuel and I. And yeah, we didn't have as good of a turnout as I would have hoped as far as community members, but many of our coaches came, and I really hope that they understand how much we value and support what they do for our kids. I know firsthand that coaches can change kids' lives, and it's a very valuable part of our school system, and to me, it is integrally tied to academics. So I just really applaud all that they do, and I hope we can keep supporting them, and I hope they keep knowing that we do support them.
Ms. Floor?
I got a long list, but I'll try to keep it to my goosebump moments and my heat stroke moments. How about that? We'll just limit it to that. Culture Day was pretty awesome. I had the opportunity to slip in kind of at the last minute. I wasn't initially supposed to be there, but I found some time and managed to do 3 out of the 4 sort of stations that the teachers were going through. And nobody knew that I was really there necessarily. Like I snuck into the back. They didn't know who I was, right? They're all new. And I got to hear the discussion, and it gave me goosebumps. Right? I mean, what I heard was the mission, the vision, the values, the beliefs, the journey. I heard it all coming together. And it was awesome. So much so, I had to, get rid of my cover, and I had to say a few things. So it was yeah, I heard that. But no, it was great to hear that they were internalizing the things that we've been working so hard on for the last couple of years. So it was great. On the convocation side, I had a couple goosebump moments. I definitely have to call out the senior magical choir from Belton High School. I mean, seriously, I had real goosebumps. I mean, they were amazing. And then the Silver Strings. By the way, I didn't even know they were called the Silver Strings, so I learned something new. But holy mackerel, there's some amazing things going on with those two programs specifically. My heat stroke moment was around parking lot painting. And so if you have never participated in parking lot painting,
With your senior?
Well, I guess what I did with my junior last year too, but that's an experience. And if you haven't done it, you should get out there and you should tour both parking lots and look at some of the artwork that got created. Some of it's really great, some of it's not so much. But it was It is.
He's not judging, though.
I'm not judging. I'm not judging. But they all had like amazing meaning, and it was as tough as it was on everybody's feet and in the heat. It was an amazing sort of community bonding experience. So I'll stop there.
All right, let's, Rucker?
This was all new for me because I'm a new trustee here, of course, but really enjoyed convocation, the school tour, seeing Burrell, the two stories is coming together at Miller Heights, or Southwest. So much is going on. It was just really exciting. Like Jeff said, going to the elementary campus, and it's different when you go to Leon Heights and you get high fives from kids, and then you go to the middle school and there's not as many high fives, But they did smile. I really had a good time. Welcoming kids and just seeing the staff and teachers that were really excited for the new school year as well. And there was just a lot of excitement and buzz on that first day, and really exciting for me. I had a good time meeting with coaches, with Janet, and then I think this past Friday we were meeting with the PTAs, PTOs, and the amount of investment. I walked away just seeing, we're all a part of campuses that have PTAs. We've probably all been a part of it at one point. And but to see the emotional investment, the amount of time that they put in was really special as well.
That's a very engaging group.
What's that?
That's a very engaging
Very
group.
engaging. That's well put.
Yeah.
And then also the safety summit was one of the first things between now and the last. I was really impressed with the safety summit, the intensity of the training, the quality, the focus from the counselors, the APs, principals. Just was good to see a little bit of that behind the scenes. I know we don't say everything that's going on to prepare our campuses and students to be safe, but I was very much impressed on that day as well.
Thank you, Rucker. Ms. Bass?
Y'all have taken it all.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat pretty much a lot of what y'all have said, but convocation was just super exciting. It was fun to see the excitement from the teachers, right? We see, again, like we're saying with kids going to school, the first day back is they're giddy. Seeing the teachers the same way at convocation, and it was neat to see the camaraderie between schools. Them all coming in together as a group. I found that was exciting to see, even though everybody was matching, but you could just see, here comes Leon Heights. Here comes Southwest Elementary. Like they came in, seeing them come in together as a team was exciting to see. And just getting to talk with teachers that we don't get to do that very often. So that was special for me, getting just to see and talk to people that I may not see again until next convocation, hopefully not. Hopefully we'll get to see them more often. First day visits, I didn't get to go to elementary. I dropped my two girls off. I didn't even walk my kindergartner to her class. I had the big sister do it because I wasn't getting out of that car at Chisholm Trail. Everybody else would have been tardy. But I know they got off to class well. But I got to go to South Belton Middle School. And granted, I have two boys there, but I enjoyed seeing Mr. Larimore. He was probably just as giddy as, granted, yes, the middle schoolers don't show it, but they're excited to be there. They're excited to be back with their friends, and let's face it, they do like routines and structure. They just won't ever admit it to you. And then I got to go to New Tech, and man, they were all so excited to be all the kids that I got to see at New Tech. And I actually got to go through the school with Miss Epperson, and just really got to even interact with lots of students and teachers. And so that was super fun. But something that I took away from first day is at the heart of every community is our schools, our kids. And when I saw our Fort Cavazos soldiers there, I saw 3 of them at South Belton Middle School greeting the kids. They were so excited to be able to greet kids as they came through the doors. And then to see our SROs and our police presence everywhere, that was just encouraging. Unfortunately, we're in a time where we have to have them there, but just seeing them there, just many of them didn't have to be there, but they were there to support the kids starting the first day. And then UMHB, they were at a lot of our schools. Just seeing the community come and support our kids as they start their school year, that was just really encouraging. I love our community so much. echo again what Janet said about the bond tours. That was so awesome. Thank you all for coordinating that and getting all that together for us to go around and see. That was, we've been talking and hearing about all the things that are going, but to see everything in action was pretty incredible. And I don't know if I can talk about the member opportunities that are coming up. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited about EdCon coming up in a few weeks. As a teacher, I enjoy to go and have the professional learning. I'm excited to see what we come back with. Like Penguin Project came out of that conference a couple of years ago. So I'm excited to go and either hear how amazing we're doing or just see what other people are doing that's working and how we could maybe even bring back something new or just feel encouraged. So I'm excited about that coming up.
Wow. I don't know what I can say that you guys haven't already said. Are we presenting this year?
We are.
We are. What's our topic?
Funny you should ask on
Yeah.
that. Our topic is going to be on our, from the boardroom to the classroom, our finding our advocacy voice as a team of 8. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the work that you all did on your legislative priorities and how you used your advocacy voice through the last legislative session, and we'll continue to do so moving forward.
I think I can just say ditto to everything you guys have said. Convocation was fun. The energy was amazing. I did visit Sparta, Belton Middle, and Belton High School, first day of classes. And the thing that I took away from that was the excitement of the leadership that we have on those 3 campuses, especially at Sparta. I mean, she was like just about to jump out of her skin. She's so happy to be there. So I did visit with Ben Smith at Belton High School. And I want to say that I'm really excited to see what Ben does with our principals. I'm excited about that. Claudia Knox, super excited. I mean, obviously she's been at Belton High School for a while now, but she's really excited. Lots of kids just come up to her. I mean, and you can see she's engaged, and that was really, really exciting for me. And of course, everybody knows, Tim over at Belton Middle School. He does a fantastic job. So I'm really excited about the leadership on those 3 campuses. Other than that, I hadn't been to a PTA gathering. Well, Matt, lots of questions. I counted 9 schools were represented at that meeting, if I'm correct about that. But it's amazing how much time and energy goes into those positions at those schools. Those folks are really special, and I hope that we can cultivate those relationships with those folks even more. Yeah. Anything else? Sure.
At the risk of Janet smacking me here, I want to throw two more acknowledgments out there. So I did go to Terrell Elementary. Have you heard of Terrell Elementary?
No.
No, that's one of our campuses. Yeah, it's the combined campus of Tarver Elementary and Burrell Elementary.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't come up with this, by the way. I heard this from the staff when I was there. So I will tell you, that was an amazing experience on day one. And seeing those 2 campuses come together, right? The 2 principals and the staffs come together, and the way that they are working together to make that a memorable day was just outstanding. And so I know that's an unusual circumstance, but man, was that a successful day. And I think that I did go to Lake Belton High School as well, and have had the opportunity to just kind of see Mrs. Steele in action, right, new principal there, in a couple different ways, and just the energy level there is absolutely amazing. So super excited about what's going to go on out there. So.
Great start to a new year.
Absolutely.
All right, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull an item for discussion or for any other reason?
I would like to pull item E5 from the consent agenda.
E5, all right.
5E5. Is that correct?
Or is it 7E5?
7E5.
7E5?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding item E5 as presented? Ms. Lee and Mr. Norwood, 1 and 2, all in favor? That passes 5-0 with Ms. Bass abstaining.
Not yet.
Not yet, not yet, I'm sorry.
Not do another motion for,
Yeah. And do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, item E5 as presented?
75.
75. Mr. Norwood? Mr. Preston? All those in favor? That passes 5-0 with Ms. Bass abstaining. All right, well, that was quick.
That was quick.
Board requests for new information and reports. Board members, at this time, are there any requests for new information or reports from the administrative team? No takers? All right, calendar of events. As a reminder, we have the following upcoming events. Thursday, August 31st, special board meeting, EISO training. Of course, Monday, September 4th, Labor Day. Monday, September 11th, third house session with Representative Shine at 7 a.m. at Belton Chamber. Monday, September the 18th, board workshop and our regular meeting at 5 and 6:15 respectively. And then, of course, our conference at the end of the month in September.
Mr. President, if I may, on August 31st, I also want our board to note, in that special meeting, we are going to have your EISO training that is required every 2 years. Remember, I am a facilitator of that training approved by TEA, and so I'll be facilitating that night while we go through that training. There will also be a couple other action items that evening. It'll be a short board meeting as far as the action items. The main part of the evening will be focused on that training, but we will be asking you to take action on a couple items that night.
All right. Public comments regarding non-agenda items, Becca? Anyone? None? Okay. Wow, this was quick. There being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 7:38 p.m. Wow.